Oh, look, he's going back there to haunt us again.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I kind of wanted to get a picture of him when he's back there.
Ghost of Christmas Past.
A scary face.
Hi.
Yep.
I've started looking at very specific ones down there to be like, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about what you're saying.
Yeah.
And most of the time I am. Sometimes I'm not.
No.
But most of the time I am.
It's fine. We're listening to each other. Communication.
Siblings. It's Alien.
Yeah.
Oh God. The year.
See how this goes.
All right. Alien 1979. Yep. I've seen the movie now 3 times. Rewatching it again for this is the 3rd time.
I had never seen the movie prior to us deciding to watch for this, and I watched it twice ahead of time because I wanted to get my thoughts together, which I'm sure we'll edit that out. Okay, buddy.
No, don't eat the leaves. Every time.
I think we can start with how the actual movie starts. This is what we want to talk about first.
Yeah. And
the ship.
yes.
That ship.
The Nostromo.
Nostromo.
Yes.
Yes.
I was almost there. That's pretty good for me.
You were doing really good
Track
at that.
record. Giant miniature. That ship was the outside of it. Giant. Just massive. The inside of the ship.
Oh my gosh. Exquisite tour that they take us on to start with.
Love it.
Just the most beautiful tour.
If it wasn't for the fact that a terrible, evil, just disgusting alien comes and eats them all, I would want to live on that ship, honestly. It just seems so cool.
I also am over here going, it's actually kind of like, it's dirty and it's grungy and it's wet.
It is dripping
just
water
like
everywhere.
Clanking metal chains and giant, weird, structure-y feeling bits and pieces. And
listen, it feels lived in.
of...
It's just like a working man spaceship.
They land us in the sleep chamber. That's kind of where the tour stops.
Yeah. Everybody in little tidy whities. It's a live crew goes onto the ship, goes to sleep, is sent to their destination. They get there, they wake up, they do their job for however long, then they start to fly back, go to sleep, and are only woken up right before they're supposed to land home.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen for them.
No. They are all kind of grungy and dirty. Nobody looks super clean. Even I don't know what we call him, the ship's captain?
Yeah, no, he's not. I don't remember his name, but he's not.
Dallas. His name was Dallas. He's not clean even, and he's like the head honcho guy. It's so what we're trying to say. It's kind of a dead end job.
Yeah, not a great. No.
And because it's not a great job, it's not a fun workplace environment either. Not just physical setting. I mean, interpersonal relationships. It's not fun because it's not a fun job.
It's like they woke up and they were like, oh yeah, I'm awake. That's cool. Oh, other humans. It's so cool to see you. Oh man, I love this food. Where's my money? Just immediately.
Not a family. This is not a workplace family. This is like a highly tense work scenario where everyone has animosity towards each other and the hostility is really high. Yeah, okay. We got to address that the 2 mechanics, right, who are mostly the people who are concerned with it, it's probably because they have a lesser paying job, let's be honest.
What are their names?
Parker. And his friend, who's not his friend, but his workmate.
Is that the guy that just keeps saying yeah and then he dies?
Yes. I
Parker.
don't know.
I like Parker.
Parker's great. The other guy is kind of just a joke in a human form. Everybody's kind of a lower class. And then in that, there's a hierarchy of positions as there would be on a ship. and the two people who hold the lowest position, who are actual mechanics, and they're stereotyped as only concerned with their paycheck in the beginning and having very little to no morals. It's unfortunate.
But they do have morals. He goes after the cat.
I know, when it's dangerous. I'm not sure if that points more to his inability to think clearly, which is possible.
I don't know. A lot of people do that with the cat in this movie, so.
Cat seems to blur all judgment. But,
as they do in real life.
In general, he seems to have values that he considers are important. And Parker, despite his very kind of pushy joking, has morals.
Movies of all time periods, unfortunately, they will have 2 female characters in a cast. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Weird. Isn't that what happened in the previous movie?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
Weird.
So they'll have 2 female members of the cast, and it is a guarantee. Unless they are like some kind of awful trope, they will be friends.
Oh yeah.
They'll be friends and they'll talk about boys together.
Or they'll at least be sort of like, even if they don't do that, even if what we saw in the previous movie, they're just sort of aligned in some way.
They are the girls, they must stick together.
Right.
But in this movie, Ripley, she's kind of indifferent about Lambert most of the time.
She's not trying to, one way or another, Lambert. Just like
Ripley is doing her job. But Lambert is here to be like, she got the promotion.
Yeah.
When I wanted the promotion.
There's a reason she got the promotion, Lambert. And it's because your character has just basically no steadiness to you. You're just flying off the walls all the time.
No. I mean, I do feel really bad for you towards the end of the movie. Like, really bad.
Are we saying you, like Lambert's on the other
We are addressing Lambert. This is for Lambert only. Everyone else, get out of here. Lambert only. I feel so bad for her at the end of the movie. It's genuinely like an awful time, and she's so not prepared for any of it, and it's just it's so bad. That's their relationship, and it's honestly amazing, and I love it.
Good. That window's still open.
Go close the window?
Okay.
Go close the window.
But like, you're proposing how for me to do this now. Insanely difficult.
Something I'll talk about while she's gone.
I'm not gone, I'm here.
I liked that the lights from the computer, whenever they were typing the words, would flash onto their faces. It was a really cool visual.
So good.
That was my piece to say. Like, I'm not entirely sure how they did the letters on the face with the light.
Projection on their face.
And then they would move like a black piece of papers. Yeah, probably, honestly.
Yeah.
Ash. Everybody's least favorite character from almost the entire Aliens series is Ash. I mean, don't get me wrong. Milk Robot is just a cool concept. Creepy character, man. We're getting like some Kyle Reese vibes.
I know. Yes.
His name. My God, his name. Creepy milk. I want to keep saying alien. Creepy milk robot.
Yes. He's a creepy alien. Nope.
No. See, I keep saying it too.
Tired.
He's not an alien. He's a robot.
But Ash's role is that of the scientist. And
which was missing in the last movie.
Yeah, it was totally the big piece that we were like, this would be so much better with.
And it was. Hey, it is.
Weird.
What a surprise.
There's a reason that trope exists. Anyway, yeah, he's the scientist.
/ medic.
Ash gives us the very typical scientist awe. He is so in awe. And it occurs to me that sticky note is still on that table over there. It's over here somewhere.
Cat friend is really confused as to why you left.
I know. Catherine thought it was another time to be friends.
Meow, pew, meow. Pew, meow, pew, meow.
He says it was probably time to be friends again. And you abandoned me. And I say, to that I am sorry, but also I must do what I must do, Catherine. Oh my God.
It is a cat friend. It is a cat. Cat friend.
Where is this quote?
He's a good boy.
Okay.
He's the real star of the show. You want to talk about
the scientist
Milk Robot Scientist.
Milk Robot Scientist Ash. It's super in awe of the aliens.
Even besides the whole actual reason as to why he's in awe, that's like actually plot relevant and anything. He is like the exact trope of it.
Yeah, he is perfectly embodied for that particular trope. So Ash says, I admire its purity, a survivor, unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. That is specifically the statement that Ash gives as to why he thinks these aliens are so amazing. Is because it has no morality. Pure and unclouded by conscience. Okay, I don't know how to say this any way other than that statement is the id. Like, 100%. And that apparently Ash thinks is the most amazing thing ever.
He's like, gosh dang, that's cool.
And
I want to do that. Brutally murder some people.
Just straight up survival, don't care about anything else, whatever the cost.
Which is his programming.
It is his programming, yes.
God. Another robot listening to its programming. Oh.
And what's the programming informed by? The company.
The unnamed in the first movie company.
Because it is simply called The Company.
It is, yeah.
It is 100% just identified as, like, does not care about its employees.
No, they're expendable.
Expendable. It says that. It doesn't care at all. It's the, like, this company is the epitome of bad corporations. Bad capitalism. Like... we cannot read that in any other way.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And the message, connect them now? The message is bad capitalism, bad corporations, prioritized no morality.
Yeah. I get it now. The airlock, right? When John Hurt first gets infected and the captain and Lambert are out there, they want to come back in and Ripley's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you in. It's not like a power thing with her, which it would normally be in every other horror movie. It's a literal, like, this is a health and safety update. I'm sorry, sir. You can't come in the ship. Like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
She is being a good stand-in captain, but the very irrational and emotional people dealing with the hurt person are like, how dare you? How dare you think with a rational mind as our... friend and compatriot is hurt on the floor here. And Milk Robot,
Ash,
our favorite guy, completely undermines her immediately. This is her, for us anyway, for this movie. This is her first time as
the person in charge.
Yeah, the person in charge. And he immediately just goes, nope.
As a robot, probably doesn't care that she's a woman or a man telling him not to open the door. He's just got other things going on. But from our side, we're watching a woman tell a man, don't do this thing. And then the man goes, it doesn't matter. I'm doing it anyway.
And then from that point on in the movie, not that anyone ever treats anybody with any respect in this movie.
No.
But especially from that point on, and then especially once the captain's gone, and she's acting head, and no one gives her the time of day.
It seems like this society has gotten to the point where it doesn't really matter what gender you are to have whatever role you have.
Yeah.
That said, the undertone of the film is completely set within the 1970s. So... 1950s, we start to see women in the workplace. 1960s, we see a lot of push for laws and equal, rights for women in the workplace, certain, things to allow it so that they get things that actually have not come to fruition fully, like equal pay, stuff like that. We're actually truly in the works at this point in time. And then the 70s happen, and there's this weird backlash against feminism, probably because there was some concern about the dissolution of the American household or something, because women were suddenly going to be all at work or something, and there'd be no children, and then America would collapse. I don't know. Something like that. And because of that, we get a lot of backwards movement as far as women in the workplace, the liberated woman, and what stereotypes go with it. But this is where we get the bad stereotypes of the feminists.
Yes.
Is in the 70s.
Unfortunately, yes.
And this film is being created directly in the middle of that. So as utopian as the idea is of these genders working together in a potentially equal way on this ship, the undertone of the way that they actually work together is very much feeding into these stereotypes of the 70s. That's sort of a piece to say.
Yeah.
That to say, she does seem Ripley. Ripley, her character, seems as if she is liberated. It seems as if she might be a feminist figure. I think a very interesting and important point to arguing that she is more feminist than just simply a liberated woman, which a liberated woman is just a woman who can work in the workplace, but she's still within the
system of the patriarchy. She's still working with the patriarchy, but she is doing her own thing within that system.
Yeah.
A feminist character would be one that is actually undermining or questioning patriarchal goals while doing a kind of liberated position.
Yeah.
And the reason that we can say Ripley is more feminist character than liberated character is because this crew is not a family. And in the 1970s, the way that they kind of got around the issue of feminism with women in the workplace and their depictions of it on film was by having the workplace be a family that this woman could now go take care of. It's just replacing the actual family with the workplace family. She can still be the sister, the mother, the whatever for that group. Ripley is not that for this group.
No.
The mother is the computer.
Yes.
Not necessarily so much an AI, so much as just a really sophisticated program.
Flashbacks.
Yes. Yeah, so anyway, called Mother. And
she's a grandmother, though.
Yeah,
when she actually starts talking, when the countdown happens, that is a grandmother voicing those things.
yes, it's an old mother. It's very old.
Attention, engines will explode in 90 seconds. Attention, engines will explode in 60 seconds. Yes? More? Explosion will happen in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you sure this is what you wanted, Mr. Director?
Okay, so anyway, Ripley, believe it or not, third in command, doesn't get treated like it pretty much by anybody ever.
No.
Should really be treated like it, but also doesn't seem exceedingly surprised by the treatment that she gets.
No, this is...
Yes?
Sorry, I just was going to make the comment of, I mean, a woman, if you're a woman in the workforce, you understand where she's coming from.
Yeah, you do. Look, as a woman in the workforce, I understand the experience that I'm seeing on screen. So Ripley, as a feminist character, does and does not fall into the traps of female representation that we see on screen. In a lot of ways, the majority of the film denies the representations that we think of when we think of stereotyped women. What that could make us think of is how the male gaze is working in this film. And does the male gaze work, I think, is also a really important question to be asking. Does it work now, still? Is it how we should think of it?
I'm going to do this without getting too much into Lacanian psychoanalysis. Laura Mulvey's theory on the male gaze that she postulated in her widely read essay, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, from 1975, is one of the most influential film theories that exist today. Working off of the burgeoning field of screen theory, which claims through Lacanian psychoanalysis that audiences identify with characters on screen, Mulvey posits how this apparatus of identification is a function of the patriarchy. The male gaze is defined in Mulvey's essay as the depiction of women in film via a heterosexual male perspective, one that sexualizes, objectifies, and dehumanizes the female characters. In Mulvey's argument, the cinema audience is enticed to identify with the heterosexual male perspective via 3 channels of looking. 1, the look of the camera as it views female characters, often by objectifying body parts. 2, the look of the male characters within the film at female characters, often in sexist or oppressive ways. 3, the look of the audience in a voyeuristic role, almost a kind of peeping Tom position. In Mulvey's argument, women are presented in cinema through psychoanalytic terms as representing male castration anxiety because of the female's body lack of the phallus. There are manifestly 2 ways in which this castration anxiety plays out within the cinema for Mulvey. Namely, castration anxiety either leads to sadistic storylines, wherein pleasure arises from the battle of wills, and the film's story of male victory over female defeat, or castration anxiety leads to fetishistic scopophilia, in other words, the pleasure of looking, taken to the extreme. Ultimately, Mulvey's argument rests on the idea that the audience find identification within the film. This aspect of Mulvey's work is inherently the most flawed aspect because it is based upon an incomplete reading of Lacanian psychoanalysis. Mulvey, and screen theory in general, think that audiences find their ego ideal, or an aspect of their perfected self, every time they watch a film. This identification process is what allows audiences to then feel pleasure in viewing as they envision a kind of domination or control over the screen they are watching. Unfortunately for Mulvey and screen theory, many theorists don't agree on this point. Bell Hooks identifies how an oppositional gaze works for Black female audience members who are critically aware of the often white mode of films. Joan Kopchak, along with many other theorists, argues that identification is the wrong psychoanalytic process to ascribe to audience members. McGowan, to try to put it simply, argues that in film the gaze, as Lacan theorized it, is not the gaze of the audience on the film, but rather the gaze of the film on the audience. McGowan argues that those moments where the film shows us how our own desires are shaped through ideology via the way we perceive a film is the moment that the gaze becomes clear for us. All this to say, the theory of the male gaze's main usefulness is in its feminist calls to representation. That is, to question the role of stereotyped, hypersexualized, objectified, and dehumanized female characters within film. The question, though, is not whether the audience identifies with some present or non-present male entity, but rather to recognize the ideological complicity of the desires that films manifest in audiences. In Alien, the final scene where Ripley strips down to prepare to go into cryosleep and then must fight the alien stowed aboard seems to subvert the feminist theme within the film. But even if we were to apply Mulvey's theory to the film, we would recognize that the entire thing has been playing into the sadistic narrative trope of the Battle of Wills. Once the battle is seemingly over, the only way to continue to subvert castration anxiety is to switch over to fetishistic scopophilia and take off Ripley's clothes. Yet, Ripley recovers herself in clothing to fight the last battle with the alien, and having succeeded, her last comments are to assert her own subjectivity. Her character does not allow for any finalized objectification. Further, if we move past the theory of the male gaze, which necessitates a limited reading of the scenes where Ripley is objectified, we find that the tensions created throughout the film reveal the ideological underside surrounding the very topic of the objectification and sexualization of bodies. The first point at which we see the objectifying of bodies for this film, think about it. It is not a woman. It is a man.
It's John Hurt.
Yeah. And specifically, it's him completely passive. He's got no agency, no control. So the scene is problematizing the idea of objectifying a body because they're doing it in a patriarchal, use it heteronormative if we wanted, whatever it is. It's not how we expect to see a man's role in the objectification process of bodies.
Yeah. It disturbs us because it is such a grotesque way of, what is the word I'm looking for?
Objectifying?
Yes, thank you.
It disturbs us, right? And it disturbs us because of something that has to do with power and the role that we would expect. You could say like, oh, this face hugger thing could be on another animal. That'd still be disturbing, probably. But it wouldn't be the level that it's at for us watching a human having this happen to them. Also, though, secondarily, watching a man have this happen to them.
From the video game franchise Half-Life, the head crabs are incredibly similar. It basically just turns you into a zombie.
Okay.
But it is a small, fleshy, icky creature with icky little limbs. Yeah. And it attaches to your face and then it controls you. And it is a absolutely just ice up your spine. Ugh.
Yeah.
When you think about this thing, because, man, people really like looking at faces and seeing a face and going, oh man, faces.
There is something also very disturbing for the human psyche with mutilation of any face.
Oh.
We don't like that.
We don't like it. It icks us and it ooks us to a degree that not a lot of things do. So head crabs and face huggers, they have this incredible thing of looking fleshy. So they cover your face and they take away your identity and they also control you. It is just they're just, ugh. So it's the whole
No,
faceless.
It is the faceless.
Something
You
straight
cannot.
on my glasses. Keep going.
But it is. You said it before. It's disturbing because it subverts our expectations. It's like a complete. I mean, the
erasure almost.
erasure. Yeah, it is a complete erasure, and all it does, literally all it does, and that is what it does to the body, is it objectifies the human body. It turns that human body into the cocoon. Basically, that is using the human body as an object. Basically, we're just going through a couple of sequences where bodies are objectified in the film. We're doing this because we want to figure out, like, not is there a male gaze or not a male gaze, but what else could there be if we're not thinking in terms of male gaze anymore? Because male gaze kind of limits us. A male gaze would have gone, that's a weird twisty-turny of the male gaze right there. Full stop. So the robot that's named Ash. I'm just going to get us into the situation, but not really get into it.
Yes.
So Ash is fighting Ripley, and Ash and Ripley end up in somebody, I don't know who, by the way. I don't know, like, they're in somebody's cabin, like their sleeping area for when they're awake. And it's plastered with, what do we call this on the YouTube?
Naughty pictures.
Naughty pictures that are sexually explicit.
Yep.
There you go.
There we go.
And Ash the robot is likely to be killing Ripley for some reason that is somewhat unknown to us. Ash decides to try and suffocate Ripley with a magazine.
You know, this incredibly strong, almost indestructible robot with hands that could just, like...
Very strong. I mean, Parker says very strong, right? At one point during this fight scene. Parker shows up, by the way, to save the day. Thank you, Parker.
Thank you, Parker.
You're a really good guy. But anyway, Ash is trying to kill Ripley. Parker comes in the middle of this and punches Ash because Ash is attacking Ripley.
Yes.
And Ash, like, falls back against the back wall of the room and just starts freaking out.
That I did see. That's always great to see.
He's just freaking out.
It makes a little noise too. He goes like...
Yeah. It's serious robot meltdown time. It is, and then the milk starts happening. So it's just the whole thing. And then, you know, Parker and Ash get into a little more of a fight before eventually. But you're right, he does hit him with something.
Hits him with something, and then the head...
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, so that's the scene, right? But, and this is something that the internet does not like to get into, by the way. What does it mean? Not what does the milk and Ash mean.
Yeah, that's...
That, or Ash betraying and having... Not that.
No.
I mean, what does that scene mean?
The magazine scene. She's talking about the magazine
The
scene.
magazine scene. Why? What? That's the question that I've got. And again, we're going to come at this not from the male gaze perspective, which would just be like, don't know women sexualized. What is being said here about... Again, this is... so I want to point this out. This is a scene, and it does not succeed, but this is a scene that is trying to objectify and sexualize Ripley. It does not succeed.
No.
But it is trying. And we know that because of the sexually explicit material that's being used. Besides the fact of the way of death and all the other stuff. We know that this is the innuendo here. So what happens when a man, even though it is a robot, but what happens when a man tries to objectify and sexualize a woman is the man then immediately, who happens to be a robot, but the man does immediately break down.
When it doesn't work. Yeah.
Right. Obviously, it's just a robot breaking down on the movie side. But from the audience's side, right? What gaze is the movie putting on us? What desire do we have? And how is it making us realize the bad undersides of that, right? And the desire that we have as a society would be the objectification of women. Sexualization and objectification, right? That's a general, that's the overtone here. But this movie denies it. This scene says, you try to do that, you will literally malfunction. You will break down. It is for us as we watch this, it is the breakdown of the patriarchy in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
It is why it's disturbing to us.
Yeah.
Because it reveals to us the violence inherent in the sexy material.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And because of that realization that the function, the very premise that underlies our whole society, because the Western American society is based on heteronormative sexual expectations, like that is the basis. When we realize the violence inherent in it, that's not a good feeling for us.
No, it is not fun for most of America to have the curtain revealed of the mirror.
Yeah. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Final scene. We all know we want to talk about that final scene. First of all, there's two things we want to talk about. One is you want to talk about, I know this is a total tangent, but you want to talk about the cat.
I love him.
You want to bring the cat in for a second.
wanna.
Bring the cat in and then we'll get back to my point.
Oh my god. Okay, first of all, true unsung hero of the entire Alien franchise is Jonesy the cat.
I think most people recognize that, though.
More importantly, Jonesy. Love him. He makes the plot go.
Didn't you say when we were watching it, you're like, I'd love to see this from his perspective?
His perspective. I want to... Game developers. I know you're really into making Alien games right now. Have you considered a game where you play as Jonesy through the entire first movie? Because that would be so cool. Please and thank you. So, Jonesy... First of all, I get it. You're going on to space for who knows how many actual years, but you're going to be there for at least months to your conscious mind, right?
Sure.
You're going to want some kind of little thing to make you feel better about life on board just the worst spaceship. Let's be honest, as cool as that spaceship is,
It's terrible.
terrible spaceship.
It's just awful.
So, I get why they have Jonesy on board. Everybody loves Jonesy.
Also, Jonesy's just present.
All the time. He's there. When the chest burster happens, he's in the background eating a small can of tuna.
As he should.
God, I want to see it from his perspective so bad. But, more importantly, he is integral to the plot. Hat Guy would not have died if Jonesy was not on this ship.
Yeah.
Ripley would have gotten off the ship scot-free. Oh,
Yeah.
Ripley. Oh, Scott. Oh, so many puns I'm not trying to make are happening.
So many.
I don't understand.
There's a lot of
I'm
puns
not
coming
a
out of
pun
you.
person.
Apparently you are today.
I don't So Jonesy, cute little boy, love him. She gets him in a carrying case.
Oh my gosh.
Which, by the way, I adore the fact that there is a space travel case for this cat. She eventually gets back to the cat carrier. She's avoided the alien and some cool rigamaroo.
Yeah.
She picks the box up.
She's had a whole adventure.
I think she's dropped it. She drops it a couple
drops
times.
it. Look, the alien, she doesn't know where it's at, and she's really worried, and she's trying to just escape, and she's gonna die.
The
and...
ship is like countdown time
Yeah.
to blowing up.
She's just...
My point that I was getting to.
Yes.
I would have been one really angry cat.
Oh.
I just wanted to say, Jonesy, best character.
Yeah.
Best character.
Very angry cat.
Very angry cat. Also very indifferent. He watches like 3 people die in front of him and he's just kind of like, yeah.
Which might be how a cat really would react.
It is. It is how a cat would react. The final scene to show us the true survivors of the Nostromo. Nostromo?
Nostromo.
Everyone's
Nostromo.
like, there was only one survivor from that ship. It's Ripley. There's Ripley and Jonesy.
There's a cat. There are some problems with the final scene. Not logistical.
No, it's a cool scene.
It's a very cool scene. There is a major hang-up that everyone who watches this movie who is thinking of it in feminist terms has with the final scene. Everyone's really upset that Ripley takes off her very comfy-looking jumpsuit.
It's a shame. It's a good jumpsuit. I really do like jumpsuits.
So we understand that I think she's about to go in her little cryo sleep pod.
Yes.
In the reality of the world that she's in, she's playing along with that reality by having to take off her jumpsuit. So she goes down to small shirt and undies. Anyway, lots of people very upset that particular shot. Just that shot. Makes everyone mad who's a feminist. Because they're over here going, I thought you were going to give us a pure feminist character. And here you are betraying my trust with undies. People. It's not like that. It's actually not like that. And there's a reason why it's not like that. And that is because the concept of the male gaze is problematic. So truthfully, this is the first time that Ripley is objectified on screen.
Yeah.
Truthfully. And yes, it is a buy-in point. We even see it in the trailer, as you said.
Yeah.
It is a buy-in point for male spectators of this film who are hetero. I understand that. That is not to say that that scene works for them. Because that scene is the product of a long film of saying certain things about the objectification of bodies.
Yeah.
And the problems that exist within that. And this scene is no exception to that rule. In this scene where we see this... Yes.
What? No, I'm not looking at pictures of Jonesy. It's Jonesy.
They can't see that.
Jones.
Blurry mess. I understand that in the actual schema of this set and this scenario, the alien is in front of Ripley and not behind her, where we are getting the visual of her from.
Yeah, he's in
I
the
understand
wall.
that. I
He's
understand
in the
that.
wall over there.
Yeah, he's in the wall. And we are not supposed to assume that the visual we're seeing is like the eyes of the alien.
If it has those.
Correct. But.
Yes.
This scene, we're sort of tricked. What happens in this scene is we're tricked as the audience, because we think that, as Ripley is as well, we think that Ripley is taking off the clothes that she has to take off to get in her cryo sleep, and we for a second get to be like a peeping Tom character as the male gaze would code us and look at her from her bedroom window as she's about to go to bed or whatever, right? Prior to this moment, we get her perspective on things. We get over her shoulder.
Yeah, over her shoulder.
This is the first where we lose her perspective suddenly. It's as if we're removed from her completely.
Yeah.
Which works with the concept of objectification.
The camera is forcing us into the role of being a peeping Tom and revealing to us that being a peeping Tom is just a disgusting concept.
Well, because they're saying,
Like the monster.
yes, because that's the point.
That's what I was,
Yeah. The perspective that we get is secretive, it's slightly aggressive in the way that it watches. This is, at first we think, oh, it's just the objectification of the female
unsteady
body,
cam. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then we realize, no, this is the same as the alien.
Yes.
And that's a complicity. We don't want to be complicit with the alien.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
Nobody
Alien thing.
wants to be the pure id, super dominant, super aggressive, super like sexualized. Nobody wants to be that character. We've all identified that that's an icky. And suddenly we realize that the thing we were just doing to Ripley is the same as what the alien is doing to her.
So
and
now, that makes us uncomfortable.
that's not a good feeling.
Again, it's the lifting the cloth off the mirror.
Yes.
Movie's doing that to us, and it's just an unfun look into our eyes that makes us go, ah.
So basically what it does in that is, it is one last time, if in case you didn't catch it before, objectifying and sexualizing a person is perverse. And this is solidified in this scene.
Also, she says no to that again.
Also, she says no. And
She immediately goes, excuse me, no, the situation is mine.
the solution, by the way, to defeating the monster, I'd like to point out,
So good.
is to put some clothes on.
Yeah, some really overly protective, bulky, you can't see the frame clothes.
So what is the monster? If the solution to the monster is to put on some clothes so they can't objectify you, physically saying, no, you're not allowed to do that to me, then the monster is just the patriarchy. Sorry. But also not sorry.
No.
The movie is hoping to alienate the concept or the feelings of familiarity we get with patriarchal concepts. It's hoping to alienate those from you. So yeah, there you go. There's your analysis
Of Alien?
of Alien.
79.
1979. Oh yeah. Yes.
So I'm thinking about the acid blood and how ridiculous that is. Sorry. Yeah, keep going.
Acid blood. It stays inside of their body because logic. The big faceless with lots of teeth.
With lots of sharp teeth company, and the big faceless with lots of teeth alien.
Yes. Same. Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yep. It's getting hot in here for me.
And you're in shorts. How can you be? What are you talking about?
I don't know. The light's closer to me.
Ripley accidentally stole her lunch out of the office fridge one day without realizing it, and never realized. And Lambert has held that against her for 3 years.
Yeah.
How dare she? That was her salad.
Yeah. Fullness as its own thing.
It's a full bottle of wine.
It's just, I don't drink wine. Anyway.
I was trying to do like bottle.
Yeah.
It's like a full bottle.
Yes,
but
it's-
she leaves the bottle at one point, so I was like, oh, it's like a full bottle though. Get
Yeah.
it? Yeah. I'll see myself out.